the security in knowing how to grow your own food to me is like, it's vital.
Yeah.
You know? I think it's utterly important. And the fact that not many people actually know is a bit concerning, you know, how disconnected we are of, you know, how we actually get our food. I made a lot of mistakes. I made a ton of mistakes. And those mistakes ultimately teach you. The amount that I learned in the first year of growing here at Old Mill is incomparable to, you know, spending 2 years studying it. I grew up on a dairy farm in Sherbrooke. I am the 8th generation that is on there. It's a very old farm, but they have now turned it into a highway. So the entire farm is gone. There's nothing left of the farm except this piece of land. I want to make sure that this is protected as much as I can.
Welcome to the Market Gardener Podcast, where we believe that small-scale farming is changing the world. Join us for insightful conversations with people who are working to build a better future. A future with less mass production and more production by the masses. The revolution is in the field. Let's get digging. This podcast is proudly supported by Tessier Greenhouses. If you've been enjoying the show so far, make sure to hit the subscribe button. It's a small thing to do, but for us, it means the world. The subscribe button allows us to keep promoting the show. It allows us to keep inviting new guests, more diverse guests, to have these enlightened conversations. Let's keep these conversations going. Help us by subscribing to the channel. Hey everyone, so we're on. Today we have a really cool guest, one of my new favorite person. And usually we have people on this podcast that, you know, have had either a career or a long journey in farming, and they've accomplished a lot of things and they're fantastic. And this week we're kind of going a bit off script because we're bringing in new blood, somebody that's at the start of her journey, but whom I do feel will have an impactful career and already has. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's a pure pleasure.
Yeah.
So you guys already had a long chat before this opened.
Yes, we've been breaking the ice. Well, you know, we already know each other anyway.
But Angie, we met when we opened the Farm to Table restaurant here at the Old Mill. Were you in the first hires? You were in.
I think so. I know that I had an interview with Eric before we even opened. So I was there for, you know, since day one, essentially.
Yeah.
Not for the renovations and all that, but
When
in
we
the
opened.
kitchen. Yeah. Day one.
And you were hired to do pastry. Correct? Was that correct?
Yeah, I was hired to do help with the desserts, but I was only like part-time at that time. So because I had other projects, and so I was hired for desserts, but then it kind of ended up doing a little bit of everything because Charles was also hired like a month after, and he's very specialized in one area. So it seemed better that he fit that role. And I was like, fine, absolutely.
And
no
so
problem.
you were doing like that place in the kitchen where there's all these things and you prep the plates?
Yeah.
What's the word for that position?
You mean like garde-manger?
Yeah, garde-manger.
Garde-manger is like more the entrees. So
The entrees,
the
okay.
cold side, yeah.
Okay.
And I ended up switching to that, and there was a couple other people, and we'd sort of take turns. We'd move around in the kitchen. Sometimes I'd do the grill outside. Sometimes I'd do the hot side. It just depended on the needs at that time.
Can I go ahead of the story and say what happened next, and then we'll reverse it?
Yeah, and we'll go back, yeah.
Okay. So in the Old Mill, in the kitchen, there's 2 big windows.
Yes.
And then they're facing the garden.
Yeah.
Beautiful gardens, which I've crafted, worked on the gardens for 2 seasons. I had somebody with me, Lise, from Cheval Blanc, which is a really, really good time with her. And I'm imagining that you were looking through the garden.
Yes.
Thinking, whoa, this is where I want to be.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, that was the goal. But even like before I started working in the kitchen here, I was like, I know that I want to be outside. Yeah. Like that was ultimately my main objective. And I worked at it very slowly.
Ooh, strategic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'll cut to the chase and then we'll share the story in details. But what happened, Angie came to me and said, I want to have a meeting with you. I'm like, okay. then we sat down and she bluntly said, I want to be the farm manager of the place here. And I was like, okay. And I was realizing myself already at that time that I had too many things to do. And I was always being pulled out of the garden and wheeled back in. And it was a kind of a stressy, hairy moment for me. And then I just had a feeling that you were the right person. And then you've proven me so right.
Thank you.
The last 2 seasons, you've been doing incredible work. And I'm really excited to talk about all of that with you today.
Me too. There's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
Endless.
So, how do you like that?
Absolutely. So I'm going to open up with it's a little bit of a random question, but it's going to send us down a rabbit hole, I'm sure.
All right.
Can you tell us what the deal is with forced radicchio and just forcing in general? So I ask all this to the listeners because a big part of what the Old Mill farm is compared to your typical market garden is that it's really a culinary farm in the sense that it is more or less almost 100%, for the restaurant. And so they're doing a lot of interesting things. And I guess you're using techniques that are more common in Europe and other places around the world and things like this. So that's, I think, a big part of what we'll dig into today. So yes, forced radicchio. What's the deal?
I'm really glad you asked. It's something that, so the method essentially is to take a vegetable, in particular chicory, you bring it inside and then it has a second growth. So what you're doing is you're digging out the roots, and it is a winter, primarily like Mediterranean winter vegetable. So it improves after a couple of frosts because it is very bitter. So what we'll do is we'll seed it in like June or July. We plant it in August, and then we wait until at least 2 to 3 frosts, and then dig it up, bring it inside. We put it in water, and then it has in some light, not too much like dappled lighting.
They're all close together.
And what do you mean by in water? Like the roots in water?
The roots are going to be in water, and you don't want the leaves necessarily to touch because it can rot. Okay. And then it regrows in the center, but because there is no photosynthesis, it's all pale and it's much sweeter. There's a lot less bitterness, still a little bit, but it essentially becomes an entirely different vegetable. So you can do that with multiple varieties of chicory. You can do that with dandelion greens. You can do it with, like there's some that are forced.
Treviso is the one. Is that the one that we did?
Tardivo. Yeah.
Tardivo.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris, can we at least look at it, the Tardivo? Because
I'll pull it up.
That's the highlight of the kitchen.
Oh my God!
You put these.
Is it that?
No, that's another one. It's the one right there. Yeah.
We're looking at a picture.
So that's like the original form in the field. And that, you could in theory eat that. It's just that the greener they are, the more bitter they are. So it's not as enjoyable.
And the center is a pretty dense packed head. Does it have to be that way, or do you kind of rubber band?
This one isn't. It's actually a little bit looser. If you go to the next photo.
Oh, it's here,
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the one I'm talking about. These they had these smaller leaves though.
Yes.
From the center, and that was really
that's
nice.
The second growth. So after they are inside I think I left them there for about a month. And what I did realize later on is that you can actually stagger the forcing. You don't have to do it all at once. So you can store them in the fridge until you want it to regrow. It's kind of like a similar to endive. It's the same process, except endive. From what I understand is that you can do it either in sand or in water. So that's something I'm going to try this year. I'm going to try and figure out how to do that.
This photo we're looking at here is from what stage in the process?
This is right before, this is harvest day. So this is, I think it was middle of November.
Okay.
If I remember correctly. And we're harvesting all of them. You shake off the dirt from the roots. You bring them into bins that have holes, and then you place that in water. And we covered it with like the tunnel shade cloth. So it was aerated a bit. So it's not too humid and hot under there because it does create quite a bit of heat when they're all packed together. So this is the forcing stage. You leave it in there for, I think it was 3 to 4 weeks. I changed the water maybe 2 to 3 times, about once a week. And then you slowly peel off the leaves. You wash the roots. The roots are edible as well, just like any chicory root.
Right.
I think the kitchen, what they ended up doing is roasting it drying it, and then it turns into a powder, which you can then use as a coffee substitute, or they added it to sauce. So that would become like more of like a bitter, dark brown sauce, you know. So there's a lot of, it's multi-purpose, you know, and that's kind of the goal of Old Mill, is to have as many vegetables that are as multi-purpose as possible. That's it just makes it more interesting, so you can actually create dishes around like one vegetable, but in, you know, 6 or 7 different ways. So
would you say that's very much bringing the past back to some degree?
I think so. Yeah, that's it. It is a goal to, you know, use what it is that you have. So instead of having an abundance and tons of variety, it's like, okay, well, maybe we can eliminate how many varieties or how many things we want to grow, but like really utilize what we have. And it is a good way to get through the winter as well. Like the whole point of doing the radicchio is that we wouldn't have only roots for the winter. So I wanted something that would create like the option of using like these quote unquote storage vegetables that, you know, that you have to use them relatively quickly. These ones don't have as long of a shelf life as let's say Belfior or Sugarloaf. You know, those tend to last a long time, like cabbage.
Funny story about that, because I did this winter. I did the farm tours on Saturday. I would bring people to the greenhouse, show them around, and I would open the cold room and open a few boxes and show them the vegetables in the winter. And some of them, like the cabbages, you know, they're starting to rot. They're all rotten. And then I show them that if you take a few peels out, then the inside is really nice, and that's how the old people used to store their things. And then I would go and to open the radicchio box and show them. And it was always so impressive. Everyone was like, wow. And I, you know, I looked like a genius, even though I had nothing to do with this. But one week, I didn't open the box beforehand, and I took the box out, and everyone was there, and I said, I want to show you something. And I opened the box. They were really all rotten.
That's at the last stage
and then
of
I
life.
showed, and I was like, okay, I should be checking my stuff before I do the show.
Like I said, they don't have as long of a shelf life. So, but that's also like the fact that I figured out that you can stagger forcing them.
Yeah, that's going to help.
That's going to be huge. And also, you know, having a couple different varieties, not just one of, you know, Tardivo, I think is going to be fun as well.
So exciting. It's so exciting to branch out and grow these vegetables. They're so beautiful, like the colors.
Exceptionally beautiful. Yeah. There's nothing really like it. You know, they're more of a flower than they are as a vegetable. So that's kind of what I like about it. They're very, very pretty.
It's super cool. And, you know, we're looking at an image of these plants with their root balls essentially just sitting in water, right? And, you know, my first thought, if I didn't know any better, would be like, oh, what are you, like, trying to rot them? You know, just like putting a plant in just water and just letting it sit there. But
in a, like, warm
it does
climate,
this, like, magic thing. And what else? So it's mostly chicory, but have you done, well, you've mostly done radicchio. What other things have you forced so far?
It's mostly chicory. Like you can do the same kind of in-field blanching. So that's...
Oh, yeah, you showed me that last year. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's essentially when you take it and you have to hide it from sunlight. So like I did it with Benefin. So it's like it's a lettuce. It's more of a lettuce head that you just add an elastic or a cap over top of it. That works well, but I do find that the inner leaves tend to rot if you don't do it like in a timely manner. So, but that just, you know, it hides it again from sunlight, and the inner leaves will become much more pale and tender and less bitter. And it's not something that you have to uproot, bring inside, and then regrow. So you can do it in the field, and it's time consuming because you have to wrap each individual one. I also did it with cardoon.
Yeah, les chardons. Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was so wild.
It's funny because the kitchen really hated it.
Okay,
Unfortunately,
interesting.
They hated it. They didn't. It's very fibrous, and it's hard to cook. It takes like an hour or more to, you know, you have to boil it or, you know, steam it. So it was a little bit more challenging and not a hit, but I loved
And
process
in
of
the
it.
field, it's a hit.
Yeah.
When people walk by it, they're like, "Whoa, what's
Why
this?"
do you have palm trees out in the field? You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
wrapped in cardboard and.
I think
and
we
brown
showed it in the
paper.
YouTube video we have
I
from
hope
last
so. Yeah,
year.
yeah, I
There's a
remember that.
tour on YouTube with Angie. I believe you're in the thumbnail. So if you go on YouTube,
Okay.
I don't think it'll be too hard to find. And we showed that cartoon. Yeah, it's wild looking.
And
you'll
then
be
that leads to one subject that I have, which is working for a restaurant is so different because
Oh yeah.
like you're growing this amazing stuff, it's not working for them, and vice versa. And that was the problem that I was getting into in my first year.
Do you want to share a bit more about that? Because that's
Yeah.
interesting for people. They're like, JM, the master market gardener. And
Yeah.
then it turned out like, well, not that you thought it was going to be all the same thing as your past projects, but it just, I think it did end up being really different. Than
Yeah,
maybe-
it ended up not being such a great success, not satisfying for me as a grower and not satisfying for the kitchen because we weren't connected. And it was the first few years also.
Yeah.
But I had all my go-tos for working with all these chefs in Montreal at
Yeah.
FQT Farm. I had my go-tos and I just did my playbook. And we didn't know much about the quantities because it was the first year the restaurant was opened. And the chef Eric ended up just like not wanting to buy my stuff. He would buy from others. I think he had also his go-to playbook working
sure.
with other
Yeah, that makes sense.
growers in the area. And in the end, at the end of the season, I was like, yeah, I grew all this stuff. I never really felt that you guys were into it. And then he gave me the same kind of feedback.
It's about quantities too, eh?
It was
'Cause you-
quantities. It was what was ready when. It was just like we were not in line.
Yeah.
I think if we would have done another season together, we would have done better. But you came
Yeah.
in and you were from the kitchen, so Angie knew exactly what was going on, the conversations, and,
Yeah.
and it's very different. Like growing for market and growing for a kitchen, they're two different things.
Completely.
Yeah.
And I will add, I do think that because Old Mill has changed its formulas a couple of times, so for the first year it was à la carte. So anyone could come in, have one dish and a glass of wine and then that would be it. But then we went from that to tasting menus, which is vastly different in need compared to à la carte. À la carte, you need a lot of variety. You need to have things, you can have things changing really rapidly. But with a tasting menu, you need to have some kind of structure. So it went from your formula of how you planned your season the first year would have fit perfectly with a tasting menu. And then the way I did it last year would have fit perfectly à la carte because I did the opposite. Because I was like, oh, that's, we need more variety. We need less quantity, blah, blah, blah. But so now this year is third year. We're sort of figuring it out. We've stuck to the tasting menus. We don't have too many options in terms of is it 4 courses, is it 5 courses, is it 7 courses, So it's 1 5-course with 1 extra. And I think that is just going to help everybody sort of figure out a better structure. And, it'll be easier in terms of planning as well. You do have to increase your quantities, less variety, but it is a consistent relationship between the farm and the kitchen.
One thing that doesn't change, though, is that when you grow really cool stuff, it shows in the plate,
Yes.
like radicchio.
Yes. It's
So you
super
still
fun.
have these things, and these red meat radishes,
Yeah.
they're such a staple for us. You
Yeah.
bring these colors out into the winter plates. It's
And you need stuff that'll last a long time too.
Yeah.
So that's the hard part. I mean, in Quebec, our growing season is relatively short. We thankfully have the installations to extend the season, but it is a challenge to keep the fridge full for 4 or 5 months out of the year, and then be ready when the stuff runs out to have stuff that's coming out of the fields. You know?
And if the listeners don't know, the Old Mill, that's the farm to table restaurant that I started. I guess it was 3 years ago. We're going to be celebrating our second year next Thursday, I think. Anyway, soon enough.
Yes.
But the concept is that it's 100% local year round. So
Yeah.
people come and eat in season year round here. And for me, my idea when I opened the restaurant was to showcase that in Quebec, that's possible. Let us show you how. And so we're welcoming people, guests. We open the greenhouse, the winter greenhouse. They see, the winter greens growing in February when it's -30. They see the root cellars, they see the garden in the summer, and then the menu changes every week.
Yeah.
So that's the concept.
Yeah. And I think we are trying to, reduce how many times the menu changes. Like, again, like we're trying to structure it a little bit better. So it's easier for the staff to learn what it is that we're serving. It's easier for the clients to have a little more consistency. I think it just makes things a little bit, it improves the experience overall. If you know what it is that you're eating and people understand why it is we're creating this dish and why it is we're growing this vegetable in particular, then it overall it'll improve the experience, I think.
And I guess you could improve the story in that, meaning like the person comes out to your table, explains the meal. It's not just, so you're having this because we have it. It's more like we're having this because we really intended this for these reasons. Let me explain,
Yeah, and everyone from the restaurant, I'd say most of them, especially now in our third season, we have a team that's been together. Like people have been to the fields, they know the wins, they know the struggles. So when the servers are presenting a dish, I don't want to say it's personal, but there's a real story behind it.
They understand what it is, and why.
Yeah. Angie, where does your intrinsic interest in these specialty crops, this forcing, these special techniques come from?
That's a good question. So I will always give credit to my former chef for a lot of this, Sean from Il Flottant. His creativity, I worked with him for about 5 years in Montreal, and his creativity and his intrigue in particularly vegetables really sparked, I think, a lot of this in me, because he would, he wasn't necessarily like a 100% local, I want things like only in season. He'd go out of the norm, and he never advertised that it was 100% local. But I think the way that he was able to process vegetables and turn it into something that I considered extraordinary gave me a little bit of that, like, oh, well, I want to be the one giving you the vegetable. I want to be at the beginning of like, I want to see your face when I hand you something that's really unique and see what you can do with it. So I liked watching chefs get produce and be so excited about it, and then figuring out what they can do with that. That was like, I worked in the kitchen for 10 plus years, and I don't see myself as a cook anymore. That's something that really changed over the last couple of years. I was like, I don't think I'm actually a cook. I think I'd rather be at the beginning stages.
You're a grower.
This. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And it
I'm
oozes.
A grower. Yeah.
It's just like you're definitely
I
that.
love it. I feel way more comfortable doing that than actually cooking. So I think that's a huge part of it.
Your calling.
Yeah.
It's funny how much that parallels Shane Harper's story as well,
really?
who we had on, just because he worked in restaurants and then
he was also pastry.
Switched to, and he was pastry too.
Yeah.
What's up, you pastry chefs? You don't even deal with, you don't deal with vegetables typically.
Well, it's
or
interesting because Sean was always very vegetable focused in his desserts as well. So I would be creating a lot of the desserts with him, creating recipes with him. He'd tell me something that he wanted, and then it was up to me to figure out how to make that possible.
Oh, interesting.
And a lot of it would have to do with vegetables. How are we going to turn this parsnip into a dessert? And we back and forth, we'd workshop it. We'd spend off hours working together and, prepping, and he'd create a 7-course meal from scratch every 3 months. And then we'd all have to, get in the kitchen and figure it out. And sometimes it wouldn't work. And then he'd be like, okay, well, how are we going to fix this? Like, what are we doing differently? So
then why is it that at the time that you were working there and observing his passion for these vegetables, why did you then think, I think I want to be the one that supplies them?
Well,
where did that interest come from?
There was an event that happened right when the pandemic hit. So my parents actually got divorced February 2020. And that's right when the restaurants had closed down or were closing down. And in the divorce, my mother actually became the primary owner of our family land. So this land was now available to us to steward. So I was like, wow, and I kind of wanted to go that route anyways. I grew up on a dairy farm in Sherbrooke. My family, my direct family, my immediate family was not the farmers. It was my cousins. But I am the 8th generation that is on there.
8th generation.
8th. So
Wow.
this is like one of the, it's a very old farm. But they have now turned it into a highway. So the entire farm is gone. There's nothing left of the farm except this piece of land. And so when my mom became the primary owner, I was like, I want to make sure that this is protected as much as I can. And it's agricultural land, and there's no house on it. There's nothing.
Oh, really? Okay.
So the restaurant closed. I lost my job in theory. Like I could have, I guess, gone back, but being laid off, I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do? And so I actually signed up for the organic market garden course at the Cégep de Victoriaville, which is all online, so I could do it in my apartment in Montreal. I started working at Lufa Farms because that was like the immediate way that I could, start learning how to do it.
Famous urban farm in Montreal.
Yes. And then so I was studying, I was working, and then I was like, I talked to my mom, and she was like, okay, well, let's start just gardening on our own land. So we started a little farm. Like it was very, very small, micro farm, 1/4 of an acre. But it was just like getting your feet wet, just trying it out, working from scratch. And then eventually my boyfriend and I moved to Knowlton, so we were a little bit closer because I was doing the 2 hours.
You were in Sherbrooke before that, or in Montreal?
I grew up in Sherbrooke. I moved to Montreal,
You were in Montreal.
and then we moved to Knowlton.
This is all the
2022.
eastern townships of Quebec, by the way, for the listeners out
The
there.
area to the south and a bit
Beautiful.
to the
beautiful.
east.
Beautiful.
Yes, it
area.
is.
So it's I think that's where it started, and then I was working on a farm also next to my mom's land, La Potager des Mirous, who's this fantastic woman who's been doing it for 20 years. She was my neighbor growing up.
She works with chefs.
Yes,
Does she?
yes,
Yeah,
she does.
She does.
Yeah, and she has like a 32-acre farm, so
Yeah.
it's quite
Big-
massive.
Veggies.
Yeah, all veggies. And so I was doing my stage there for school and doing my farm, but then on the weekends coming here
To work in the kitchen.
And I was like, I don't know if this is super sustainable. I had to figure out like how am I going to make this work? And ultimately I decided to, focus on something that I really wanted to do, which was farming, and I could do it here.
Yeah.
So I have let that farm go. My mom does it on her own. She just grows for herself, but
So it's a homestead. Well, no, but no one lives there.
no one
Okay.
lives there.
So
It's just a piece of land, but
it's for the family.
it's for the family.
Good. Before we, transition more to Old Mill, I want to touch more on this generational topic. Before we went on the air, we were having a really nice conversation about it. We were talking about our podcast episode with Stephanie Wang, for instance, about the idea of a perennial farm, which is farms that stay farms generationally, not necessarily through, offspring, through passing on to kids, but just through passing on to someone else that is indeed going to care for it the same and not just start from zero every time. And, we were talking about the importance of this generational question. How do we keep farmland, and keep farmers of the next generation farming? So could you just touch on like the relationship with the family and the family farm and how the dynamics are working for you, and how does it feel to, have this land that's been in the generations? Like,
I mean, it's interesting because like our family did have somewhat of a falling out. So I was living on the farm, but we weren't close with them, and ultimately everything sort of dissipated when they decided to build a highway.
like you mean when you were a kid, were you involved? Like, did you spend time in the milking barns and stuff as a kid?
I did,
or?
but not nearly as much because that was ultimately when the family had a falling out. So it was, we were on one side of the road, they were on the other.
Oh my God.
You know how it is,
Yeah.
family farms. But and when I think it was early 2000s, 2010 era is when they started to build the highway. So they expropriated everything. Like my cousin had to sell all his cattle. He moved out to the North Hatley area, and his kids went off and did other things. And my dad was like the one that had one side of the road, and they had the other. So one side of the road ended up being just for us, but there was nothing on it. So it's always challenging. You know, like I think being the generation, I am officially the last generation on that family land.
At the moment.
Yeah. Like my mom is the owner, but she's not actually she's not a herring. Like she was married in. So I am the last herring that has access to this land. The rest of it is just highway at this point, you know, so.
Was there a degree was this tragic? Were there many members of the family that were devastated by the changes?
Yeah. I mean, we had to take down our sugar shack in 2020.
God. An old sugar shack.
Oh, yeah. It was really exceptionally built. Like it took 4 people we took it down by hand, but it was like, it looked like it was crumbling. It wasn't crumbling. It was so well built. And it was really, really beautiful. It was built in the early 1900s.
What's the last name of your family? The last name of the farm?
It was called Fairview Farms.
Fairview Farms.
Yeah, but my last name, the Herrings were the ones that were running.
Herrings.
Yeah, so they've been there for 300 years.
Were they what's the word for loyalists?
I would assume so. Yes, okay. I don't entirely know. So
English speaking.
But my grandmother was actually from Detroit. She married in, and it was my grandfather and my great uncle that were the Herring brothers, Gordon and Kenneth, and they grew up there. They ran it. They used to deliver milk to the whole village, in cart. It's pretty cool. Like they're very cool, but it dissipated rather quickly, I would say. So it's there's not much left of the history other than this piece of land, but it has ultimately nothing on it other than our little garden.
That's inspiring to me, because whole ways of life disappeared, and this is one of them, especially dairy. I think this whole region, Eastern Townships, was heavily a dairy zone. I've read a lot of history of the area, quite a few books locally written, and ways of life is something we've lost multiple times over in the last 150 years. So to me, to hold on to a piece of an agrarian lifestyle in any form, whether it's just a vegetable garden, is like a true, I wouldn't say rebellion per se. Well, maybe it is kind of rebellion, because you're rebelling against where society is pretty much pressuring you to go.
Yeah. And I will say, like, my mom's main goal was essentially to be a valuable steward to this land and to preserve it and to maintain it as much as possible, as much as she can. It was a piece of land that just had cows on it. It was a hayfield, and there's lots of woods. It's about 150 acres, so it's substantial. But they did, the family used it. It was very used. They took the trees to sell it for firewood. They would tap the trees for syrup. It was, but it hasn't been touched in the last 30 years. So it's really kind of growing up again. And
is it still 150 acres?
Yeah.
And it's green. It's zone green. So technically you can't build a home.
No.
Unless you're a farmer.
Exactly.
Which you are.
Which I was trying to be. You have to make your primary income off of it.
Yeah, we can work something.
That would be pretty cool.
Yes.
And well, of course, begs the question, do you have a vision for the future of this land and your role with it? Or is it very much in the air right now?
It is in the air, but the goal is still to, just to take care of it. Yeah. I think ultimately that's what we want to do, because that's what we can do. We can just preserve it as much as possible, protect it from more highways.
Development.
Development, condos. The whole area in Sherbrooke is becoming relatively developed quickly. So it's in a little pocket. It's on a dirt road. No one really sees it. It's quite hidden. It's cut off during the winter, so you can't drive up there. So it's it's a neat little place, but we want to preserve it.
Well, I want to preserve you. I want you to be at the old mill for a little while. So
no problem with that.
That's in my game plan.
But anyway, I just feel inspired.
But these stories about farms, like what's going to happen with my farm? at the end, you know, like Relinette, we've been there for 25 years now.
Yeah.
You know, who knows? Like, part of me feels like, oh, I wish this will go on. Another part of me is like, well, this is just like the mandalas, you know, you work at something all your life and then poof, it disappears and that's life. It's like, I'm kind of like,
Yeah, I see what you're saying,
you know?
yeah.
You know what the mandala, what I mean? Like they, you know, the monks, they do this beautiful art for like years. And when it's finished, they just erase it.
Oh my gosh.
A non-attachment.
Right.
And
so
you were saying something earlier about like how farmers these days are having to start from scratch constantly because the way that in order to inherit something, it's like almost, it's either you inherit because purchasing is unattainable. Like land prices are so expensive. And even if you're renting, you know, your profit margin for a farm is so small that it's discouraging after 2 years. You're putting all this energy, physical energy, and at the end of the day, like it's even hard to make a living doing that. So there has to be some alternative in order to start farms or maintain them. So hopefully your farm can continue to function as a farm, no matter who's running it, you know.
Well, we're not done yet, but we'll
Exactly.
see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm sure we could stay on that for a long time because it's a super important subject. But I guess we should move on to talking a bit. Actually, final thing, not about generational farms, but about your home farm, so to say, whatever. Well, it's called Set Source, right?
Yes.
7 Springs.
7 Springs, because there are actually 7 springs on the property. It used to be...
Should just sell spring water.
I honestly, we used to.
Yeah.
The farm actually used to produce all of the water for Lennoxville.
Whoa.
Seriously?
Yeah, there's
Wow.
so much groundwater
Wow.
on that property that it was the main source. And they ended up building a reservoir just right down the street, but...
I thought you were going to say they built a highway right through the spring.
Well, they kind of did.
Man.
No shame in that, but it's full of water, and you know it's kind of hard to grow directly in water, but it is still there's an abundant source of water there. So I didn't want to eliminate that from the
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about your boyfriend has a mushroom business, correct?
Yes, he does.
So there's more farming in your world. Can you tell us a bit about that? And are you involved in that too? Was it something you guys started together, sort of? What's the deal there?
Well, he was also a cook chef for 12 years, a bit similar to me. And we, during the pandemic, again, like he also got laid off for a period of time, but he had a chef who's actually his current business partner, Theo, at Tuck Shop. They decided to start growing, you know, start to figure out how to grow it. Because they used to go foraging together. They would forage for mushrooms for the restaurant. And that, you know, sparked something in Callahan, my boyfriend, to become a producer. He had the similar mindset of me as like, I want to grow it. I want to be at the forefront of what these chefs are using. You know, we understand what cooks and chefs are looking for in a product. And we figured, like, why not? You know, like, we might as well learn how to do this. I think that it's important. Also, like, the security in knowing how to grow your own food, to me, is, like, it's vital. Yeah. You know? I think it's utterly important. And the fact that not many people actually know is a bit concerning. You know, how disconnected we are of, you know, how we actually get our food.
You're right.
To the source.
But when you think about it, less than 1% of the population is involved in farming.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so it's not so weird that they don't know where the food comes from
Correct.
or how it's done because they're not in contact with that. It's like, just like me, I don't really understand how plastic is made or how steel comes into be a car. Like I don't have any idea. It's just a car. There's steel in it. So if you think about it, it's not so weird. It's not good though.
Right.
That number needs to go up, and people should be made aware. And
Yes.
Yeah, and I
should
don't
be
think it's
aware.
the individual's fault.
No.
People are, you know, we're products of a system that pushed all people to be this way. I really feel that strongly when you look at history. It was never the individuals that were the cause of their misfortune in history.
The system.
It's the power systems in play that are making people the way they are. And, the last 150 years has led people down the path it has. So of course they're not connected. Most people are connected to none of the sources, so to say, whether it's where metal comes from, where plastic comes from, or where food comes from.
Exactly. But I mean, like my boyfriend is a city boy. He grew up in NDG, like a neighborhood in Montreal, and he has, he doesn't really understand what living in the country was until we moved out here. He didn't have a driver's license.
He didn't have He didn't have a pickup.
He didn't have a pickup.
Oh my God.
He he got his driver's license when he turned 30. I think that's pretty typical for a city guy.
That's funny for me to think of. I'm like, what?
I know. I've had it for over a decade at this point.
Yeah.
But he still had the same ideology as me. As like, we want to know how to grow our food, where it comes from, and have a sense of security with that. So thankfully, his grandparents they renovated a barn on their property, and we've been living in their barn for the last almost 3 years at this point. So, and they've been utterly supportive of us and understanding. And I mean, they've been through hell and back with us almost, just like trying to get Cal to set up his business and having me back and forth in Sherbrooke, and they're aging, they need a little more help. So they have also a very large property, like about 110 acres. So it's a lot of work living out here, but it's really fun.
And it's important work. Like
it's
work
important.
keeps, you see, especially in the sugaring, because it's sugaring time now. You'll go to these shacks that are ran by these men in their 80s.
Yeah.
I was just at one this past weekend. I was at the Reichard shack.
At the Reicherts, and you realize that working is living. Like when when you get old, you need to work. Yeah. Otherwise,
you deteriorate.
And that's not what you want to do. Like that man. We should have him on the podcast, actually.
Oh my God, he's my best friend.
He's
the ultimate.
He's the ultimate Eastern Township farmer
and like man of the land and of the people.
Oh my God.
I'm sure he's got some good stories.
Oh my! Are you kidding me? The best stories you've ever heard. After you, Angie. Right after you.
Yeah.
But
so you're in that journey.
Yeah, we're in that journey. We're still like in the startup phase, like 3 years to me is like you can't determine anything after 3 years.
Oh yeah.
It's still too new.
That's a false assumption of us modern folk that didn't grow up with knowing how to view things long term. Yeah. Where like everything can be done in a year.
Oh, no way.
It takes time.
There's no way.
It also takes time to become a good grower because you have the basics. But then all the mistakes that you make, they're very important because that's where you learn.
Yes.
So it takes a few seasons of making mistakes then you become steady at it.
And, I think that's one of the reasons I wanted to also be a cook / grower is because it's a never ending learning process. It's not like, I'm not somebody that could necessarily sit behind a desk for, 6 hours, 8 hours a day or whatever. I wanted something more tangible and something that, you're just consistently learning.
Yeah.
The amount that I learned in the first year of growing here at Old Mill is incomparable to, spending 2 years studying it.
You want to tell us about it? What was your first year like? Like, what was your, like...
chaos, but it was so much fun.
Starting, finishing, like me there, like I'm supposed to be like this amazing mentor. I'm leaving it to yourself to figure it out.
What? You know what? I'm grateful that you got busy doing other things because I wouldn't have learned as quickly.
Yeah.
And like you have given me tools. Like I have all of the tools that I need in order to succeed. I have the masterclass. I have Flora Mama's masterclass. I have installations, like infrastructure.
You have heirloom
as well. So like, and the amount of Googling I do per day is pretty insane. I won't negate that.
I think that's classic for farmers. Just little things. You're like, what about that? Like, how?
Can I plant this next to this? No. Okay, don't do that. It's like there's just the little things that I'm not going to be embarrassed by saying that. I think it's important, but I made a lot of mistakes. I made a ton of mistakes, and those mistakes ultimately teach you.
Yeah.
And you can't necessarily learn that just working with somebody else who's telling you what to do. You know, you have to do it yourself.
Yeah.
And I mean, graciously, you've let me do that. Also, like, I think that's, you know, most owners, I think, would be like, no, maybe don't, because that's an expensive mistake. You know, like that could cost me a lot of money. Don't do that. You know, so I'm grateful that I've been able to sort of just have autonomy and figure it out on my own. So it's an interesting setup.
And
for sure.
when in the process that when you start to feel more comfortable, like, okay, like this, I can do this, I could get the hang of it.
I think it probably was like September, October.
Yeah.
By the end of the season, I was like, okay, I think I
got this.
I understand. Also because I figured out like what the restaurant actually needs.
Yeah.
But not until the end of the season.
Yeah.
You know, so September's not the end, but like it may be closer to November when I was harvesting these radicchio. I was like, oh, this might have been a bit too much, because now the slow season for the restaurant's coming up and I have 400 radicchio for them, and there's no way they're going to use all of these.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, well, tough. You know, you kind of have to.
Yeah. that was planned 6 months before.
Exactly. It's too late now.
Yeah.
So you can only adjust your mistakes the year after.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the hard part for the kitchen, to adapt that and just kind of tolerate it. I can see that being a big, it's a big blocker.
But it's important.
It is.
Because, you know, we had Dave McMillan from Joe Beef here a couple of times, but the first time he was here, he said, you know, they have phone booths of people that they can call and have anything they want at any time from anywhere in the world. Mm-hmm. So convenient.
Yes.
But it's so not what we need to be doing.
No.
And it's yeah, perhaps for people that don't get it, like, it's hard to understand, like, why not? Like, because we want to be in cycles, because we want to be in tune. So it's important for the kitchen staff to get it.
Yeah. I mean,
you know?
Working in season, you know, you have an abundance at a certain period of time during the year, and then that's it. You know, like, it's, even though you can extend your season with infrastructure, it doesn't necessarily mean that it'll be the same as the abundance of the summer. So it's like, but ultimately they have to decide, like, do we want to transform in the middle of the summer when we're at our busiest for the winter, or do we grow accordingly? You know, like, that's what we're still trying to figure out.
There was one event that happened last summer when I was looking at your work that was really transformative, I think, also, which is your helper in the field. You want to talk to us about him?
Mr. Tatsuya. He is an exceptional worker.
Exceptional human being, I think.
Oh, yes. Just through and through. His demeanor, his wisdom. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to get through the season without him, ultimately.
Wow.
He started middle of May, and then he stayed on until almost the end of December, you know. So he was only there 2 days a week, but that he works for the equivalent of like 3 people.
Yeah.
I mean,
middle-aged man,
Yeah.
farm worker, has been
Yes.
working on farms for a long time,
his
from
whole
Japan.
life, almost, yeah.
From Japan, really Japanese, like through
Very.
and throughout.
Yes. And he's, you know, his his catchphrase was like, "Oh, we can try it, you know. Well, we can try it. Why not try it?" So he was very supportive. Even if he thought maybe it was a terrible idea, some of the stuff I had planned, he would be like, "Okay, on va l'essayer." You know, we'll try.
Is he
it.
very knowledgeable about
Very.
farming? Yeah,
He actually had a farm in Japan himself, and he was producing 4 chefs for about 10 years.
So what a find.
Oh yeah.
And the Japanese, they sure take their culinary
Oh yeah.
craftsmanship seriously, don't they?
Yes, and he's actually, this past winter, he's traveled to Germany, and he's been studying biodynamics, and he was finding, he went and visited a couple of other farm-to-table.
And he went to Le Doyenné in France.
did?
I've been following
Wow.
him.
Yeah.
Like, really interesting stuff.
I can't wait to hear all about that when he comes back.
Like, for me, like, looking from the outside in, because I wasn't in the field with them this summer, it felt like the Karate Kid. Like Mr. Miyagi coming and taking the young samurai and teaching her. It's like another presence, another mentorship presence in the field. Like, very calm, very
calm.
Very
He
calm.
kept me so grounded.
Yeah.
I would have lost my marbles a long time ago, I think, if he hadn't been there. Because he's just very, you know, his wisdom is really ultimately what, you know, makes a big difference. Like, he's done a lot of this, you know, already, but he's still also learning. Like it's very different here than in Japan. So, I mean, I did have a lot of Asian vegetables, and he was very fascinated. He was like, "Oh yeah, let's do that. Let's grow that."
One of the great teaching in farming, and this is one of the acquired skill that you can get after a few seasons, is to stay calm and do the work.
Yes.
Because it gets hairy, it gets hectic, but like if you spend some time with Modelaine, like she's never in a rush. She just, if there's too much work, she'll just start.
Yeah.
And she'll apply herself, and then eventually the work gets done.
Yeah.
And that's something that you learn eventually. You're like, there's no need to panic. It's just, let's just do the work. And this is very subtle, but it's important. Sometimes
it's better to just take that 5 minutes, sit down, figure out what the heck you're doing, and then you can actually get through the rest of your day. Like I do that quite often, especially in the startup of the season. Like I sit down, I reassess. Am I really doing this? Do I really want to be doing this? Do we really need this? Is there something better that I can be doing? I'll ask my questions over and over to myself, and then you can kind of keep going, and you're confident with your decision, once you've really, because you can plan your season in December, but then when you go to apply it, it's like, that's not really relevant anymore. I can adjust that, and it's not too late. So.
This podcast is proudly supported by Tessier Greenhouses. Tessier has always been one of my top choices for greenhouses and tunnels. For over 45 years, they've been manufacturing high quality and incredibly strong structures right here in North America. Their products can withstand the heavy snow loads we faced here in the Northeast, and their prices are among the best in the market. Tessier offers excellent service and expertise, always ready to help with customized solutions. I particularly appreciate their commitment to innovation and their willingness to listen to the needs of growers. At the Old Mill, we use several of their Gothic Caterpillar tunnels and micro tunnel for season extension, and I'm always impressed with their design and build quality. Without companies like Tessier, food sovereignty just wouldn't be possible. So thank you, Tessier, for helping us growers feed our community year-round. You guys rock.
Use promo code MGI10 for 10% off your first order and free shipping in select regions.
Before we continue, friends, I want to tell you about New Society Publishers. New Society is not your average publisher. Their focus is on positive impact. Their books cover important issues like climate action, food justice, and sustainable farming, and they practice what they preach. They are a certified B Corporation, certified carbon neutral, and they print on recycled paper. They published my first book, The Market Gardener, which has brought thousands of people to the world of small-scale farming. And with their extensive collections of books, including popular titles like The Seed Farmer from my good friend Dan Brisebois or Coppice Agroforestry, you too can learn to garden, farm, or live a greener life. Hop over to newsociety.com, check out their books, and use the promo code MARKET25 for 25% off on all of their books. This is a sweet deal, friends. New Society Publishers, cultivating change one page at a time.
I'm really looking forward to this year. I think that because I'm going to have him full time this year.
Oh, wow. And you've now found your pace.
Yes.
Yeah. And together you found a pace. All of the above. Eh?
All of the above.
And the team, the kitchen
team.
And
the kitchen
solid.
Yeah.
Justin's there also. He used
to
be
I'm getting excited.
He used to be a market gardener also. He's in the kitchen,
so much knowledge there. It's nice to have that in the kitchen to kind of, help explain things if I'm not transferring the information properly to the kitchen, whatever. He can answer a lot of the questions.
But you need to be ready because we're going to be in the Michelin guide. So we're not getting a star. I don't think we're getting a star. I think we deserve one, but I think we're not at that
stage.
But perhaps a green star.
I would love that.
And that's going to come out pretty soon, Chris. We know for a fact that we're getting something.
Yeah. So, I don't want to jinx it, but
touch wood.
We have a good wooden table here.
Yeah, we have a solid team. Yeah. I'm so pleased, so excited, so happy for how it turned out.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much potential with this place, with like all of the options that we can create ourselves. I think that's what I see with Old Mill is just where it can go. What we've done already is fantastic, but you can't stop looking forward. I think that's really something that we have to remember, don't get too comfortable.
There's going to be one intruder in the next few weeks here. If you haven't seen her yet, the turtle's going to be coming.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah,
And she was like, who?
she's a snapping turtle, and that's why I have my hat.
Yeah.
And she's big,
She's huge.
and she lays her eggs in the garden.
Yeah. She goes and digs lots of holes throughout
yeah.
the garden. So, it's okay now if I haven't planted anything.
Yeah.
But
Last year, I took her out from the field, and I
you
brought
did?
her back to the river.
Oh.
And she was trying to. They have
Scary.
strong legs. I
Yeah.
really took her like.
I wouldn't go near it.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Let her do her
Yeah,
thing.
these are like huge. Yeah,
Should make a YouTube video about her.
well, when we find her, I'll bring you because
Yeah.
it's impressive.
She's had lots of babies over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So they've
Yeah.
been scattered all over the place.
Can we, I want to hear kind of the story of the farm and a little bit of the season by season since you've started. You touched on it a bit earlier, but just in brief passing, but kind of like how the strategy was year by year and how you had, like how that turned out to, not be working and how you shifted it so that people can understand what you were thinking 2 seasons ago and then last, and then now what you're thinking coming into this season.
Well, the first season, I wasn't on the farm. It was Jean-Martin and Lise.
Yeah.
And they were working together. And there was also a couple of times that the whole crew from La Gradinette would come and,
the
do
work.
a lot of the tasks one day and then they'd go back. But that first season, I was just observing, obviously just watching, okay, like everyone was kind of figuring out their way. It was still the first year, we just opened up. So that, like JM had said, like it was a lot of, there was a lot of one thing and maybe less of others and like stuff that we didn't need, but there's stuff that was also fantastic. So we sort of established that daikon was like going to be part of Old Mill for the rest of time.
Yeah, for sure.
The way that we've used it in countless different ways. Now they use it in a condiment. They've, figured out how to make like a saucisson with it. Like it's, they've really worked it and trialed it.
Interesting too. That
Really
daikon would be, I don't know why, it just surprises me a bit.
It's really easy to grow and it's something that
It
lasts
stores.
forever. Yeah.
And it's fresh. When you open it in the winter, it's fresh.
It's
Yeah.
also good for the soil. Like people use, tillage radish
Yes.
as it's called. And
Yeah.
you get
cover crop.
deeper soil. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
cover crop.
and
exactly.
it's good for the digestive system. So
Yeah, it's very healthy, very nutritious.
It's just all around great.
all around great. But again, after the 5th month of using it, you might get a little sick of smelling it in the kitchen. But, it's...
And it's probably something that doesn't sell that well at farmers markets. Is that right? Or no?
No, it doesn't.
Exactly.
It's not a huge hit.
No. You can open them up, have different colors. The green one, the purple one, but you need to be a connoisseur to really enjoy it. But for kitchen, it's like
Exactly.
the plate, the colors, like it's unbeatable.
Yeah, and figuring out the ways to process it too, so it's no longer just like a fresh winter radish. It's now turned into something that essentially tastes like bacon. Is pretty incredible. So that was the first season. The second season, which was my first season on the farm, I tried everything. As much as I was doing like 5 varieties of everything, which is too much. It's too much, too many projects. But I really, I dove in head first into figuring out what it is that I wanted to do, what it is the kitchen liked. Yeah.
Just to pause there, did you choose a lot of these things while talking to Eric, the chef? Like, was this a conversation that you developed, or were you just choosing a bunch of stuff and then how did that work?
Well, it's interesting because like the kitchen has told me like they want me to decide.
Okay, because we had these meetings with
Yes.
them, and they decided that's not how they want to operate.
Well, it didn't seem conducive to have them sitting down and doing the whole crop plan with me
Yeah.
because it takes
Time.
hours.
Yeah, it's time.
So many hours.
Yeah.
And figuring out what varieties, when you want it, the quantity that you want it. It doesn't make sense for them to be having that much input because it's so time consuming. So ultimately I did the crop plan myself, and I asked them like, would you rather this or this? So I give them options, and that I think makes more sense. And I check with them fairly often to make sure that we're still on the right track so that they know what's coming, But the first season was a bit all over the place. I will say that it was not smooth, it was chaotic. And then also like towards the end of the season, our chef has changed. So Eric has taken on a different role, and Charles, who is the pastry chef, has now become the chef de cuisine. So I had grown to more for Eric's style of cooking for the full year, so up until February. And Charles' style is very different. It's more minimalist. It's a lot more like each ingredient is worked. It's a lot. It's less like fresh stuff on the plate. It's just more like worked. I don't know how to.
Yeah, that's clear.
Yeah, okay.
Like making the ingredient really be the shining element, the singling sort of.
Yeah, Eric's style was like you'll have a piece of meat and then you'll have fresh carrots roasted, a little bit of honey, salt. That's the dish.
Yeah.
Charles is going to be taking the carrots. He's going to be doing whatever magic in it, taking
processing,
doing a lot of things, and then reconstructing the carrot. And it's both are equally interesting, but they're different styles.
Very. Okay. So if you're growing a certain way for a certain chef, and then it changes halfway through the season, but it's a little bit too late at that point. So we had like a huge adjustment just over the last like 6 months, I'd say 6 or 7 months. But now I've been watching the way he's cooking, of watching his style. So I've now planned this year based on his style. So now it's just, it's a bit more in quantity, less in variety. And also keeping in mind that like he will use this product in 6 different ways. Yeah. So
going to use different parts of it.
And different parts of the life stages of the plant too.
Also, that part of I can, that it's always a conversation. Like, do you want this, let's say this is an interesting thing is that like I had grown a garnish fennel, like a red fennel, bronze fennel. And I didn't harvest the roots until like January. And so I harvested the roots and I gave him the roots and he was like, oh, this is actually really interesting. So can we have the roots from all the fennel? And it's like, oh my God, okay, I can do that. But they were there for a year, so I kind of have to now plan to have a crop of fennel roots, so
interesting.
It's going to be, but that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it interesting. So
for me, like the part that it really gets me excited is that you guys are you're a crew.
Yeah.
Like you're sitting every week, like Angie's sitting with everyone from the kitchen. There's the
family
maître d'hôtel, and they're a crew, so they're all in it together, and that's what I think is really important because at one point it becomes like symbiosis, like just energy of everyone mixing, creating something fantastic.
Yeah.
But that's really like when I was thinking about running here, like I was doing market gardening, and that's not really what it is. It's like this is a farm to table restaurant with a culinary person doing the field work.
Yeah.
It's kind of different.
The needs are wildly different. It's not about profitability. It's about creativity.
Yeah.
And, I've had to increase tremendously the number of like herbs and flowers and stuff like that, which is, not normally part of a market garden farm. It's not necessarily what would sell at a market. So having to kind of work that in, also not being my expertise of flowers and herbs. So that's a learning curve just in itself. But then also having, enough produce and not taking up too much bed space in the garden so that we actually have whole vegetables. So you really do need both.
Did you plant more herbs for this season?
Yeah.
And will that be your kind of like, okay, I'm learning a lot about this year?
Yeah. More herbs, more flowers, edible and decorative. We want to be able to, fill the restaurant with flowers. So and it also looks beautiful. Our site has to look nice because we have clients coming in, walking around. It has to be something that's attractive. It can't necessarily fully look like a market garden. It has to be somewhat of a tourist attraction as well. So that's also another factor you're adding on to it. But it has to be productive. So there's like the
The herb part is one that I don't have in my toolbox. Like as a grower, I don't have that. Like I don't know about herbs. But anytime I've been to France and I've been to farm to tables with, I would say, pretty prestigious chefs there, that's what they're all about. Little herbs, seasoning, little herbs, and then they invite me because they know that I'm, this well-known market gardener, and they show me their gardens, and actually I don't know anything that they're showing me. Like I feel like a complete fool. Like they're showing me all these little herbs here and there, and then they're all passionate about this, and I'm like, wow, I don't know.
Yeah. But a lot of it, like there's not much information about growing it. Like there's certain herbs, like for some reason, for the life of me, I can't get my caraway to germinate. I've tried 5 different times and it will not germinate. And there's others that work really, really well. So, but there's not a ton of information. There isn't really a resource for herbs in particular.
Nor is there a resource for like this method of a farm. Because like, for instance, we have the masterclass, which very much gives you like a full blueprint of your classic market garden for market. And then there's, let's say there's larger scale tractor vegetable farms. Even then there's kind of a model to follow of how it's done.
Volume.
And you could look at a single person and their model and kind of just like playbook it. But with this, there's no one playbook. Place to go to where it's like, I'm going to listen to what that person has to say because they figured it all out. And maybe that's going to be what you can offer to the world in the future.
I guess the only other person that I could reference is Shane from Pro Morset. We're very linear to that, but it's again like he's had to do it all himself, figure it out. Just from making mistakes and figuring out what their kitchen in particular needs. It might not be what we need. So it's.
I can give you a cue.
What's that?
It's going to be books in French for sure.
Oh.
Because,
that's a good point.
Michel Bras, the book
I do have
brought,
that one.
Yeah,
that's like, a huge.
They're ahead of the game.
Yeah,
they've been doing these for like 40 years.
Yeah, I should just go visit.
Come on, I'll bring you over next time.
Sure, might as well. R&D.
Yeah, R&D like an expense. Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I didn't realize you were looking over me. Let's talk a bit about the ecological soil aspect of things that are going on. Oh, and I did remember one more thing I wanted to say. You touched on the beauty aspect of the farm, and that too was another thing when this project started. Cedar posts instead of just necessarily metal T-posts, and a lot more wood chips and other mulches as opposed to just having landscape fabric. And again, it's an interesting element of the farm. And I think it's probably quite relatable though to a lot of people, because a lot of people, they want beauty. I don't know. It's just interesting to see this process, and for you, JM, too, to have this kind of farm that has all these new things about it compared to the past market gardens. And it's dynamic, it's exciting, it's different.
Yeah, and I am trying something this year because my boyfriend is a mushroom farmer. His waste from the farm are these insanely nutrient dense blocks of wood and soy hulls.
Yeah.
So last year I started adding it to our compost pile. So I have some that's decomposing. But this year, what I've decided to do, because I know that it works extremely well with the brassica family, and as well as squash, that I'm going to do that in 2 separate areas of the farm. So using it as mulch, also mixing it into the soil, and seeing what the yield is based off of that versus last year, where I didn't have it at all.
Interesting.
So it's going to be just the fresh blocks. So because we did 2 tests last year. We did it on a composted pile at our own place, and we did it on a fresh pile. And 1 plant of squash, or 1 or 2 plants of squash, gave our friends, because they did it into like over 100 squash.
Wow.
Which is just extraordinary. Like the yield was outrageous, and they had no idea what to do with them.
How far did those plants spread? My goodness.
Pretty far. So I'm trying to see if that's going to help us, without having to necessarily add like a ton of compost. We'll see if just this waste from the mushroom farm can be, because it's something that is consistent. Yeah. He's always emptying bags of this mushroom substrate. Yeah. So
okay, I have a question for you.
Yes.
what are you going to do? So you have, let's say you're doing that experiment. You're using this in that field for that crop.
Yeah.
You're pretty sure it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
Are you doing only half of your beds or leaving a little bit out to test and benchmark if it's working or not? Or are you doing it completely?
I think I'll probably do, I'll leave like 2 beds without it.
Okay, you'll leave 2 beds without
Yes.
it. Even though you might
Sure. I'm pretty sure that it's going to do well. Because I can, there's 2 different ways that I could do it. I could use it as just as mulch because it is a lot of wood. There's a lot of, a lot of carbon in it. But there's also a lot of nitrogen in it. So, and the mycelium that has inoculated these blocks completely.
Yeah, it'll increase the biological.
Exactly. And
fungal life.
the decomposition is like twice as fast. So I think for the squash, I'm going to use it as mulch. For the cabbage, I'm going to mix it into the soil and then see what the difference is between those 2.
Okay.
Because I also have horse manure that I have from the neighbor.
Oh my God, this farm is
manure.
stacked.
So much stuff.
So beautiful.
But it was, I have enough horse manure for the next 3 years. Like there's so much. And that was just 1 year of her cleaning out the paddock.
Yeah.
So it's...
Is it mixed with chips? Is it already...
with straw.
With straw. So is it fully composted already?
No, it's still fresh.
It's amazing.
Year.
It's amazing.
So you're going to wait. And,
Yeah, I left it for the winter and then I'm using a little bit of it. It's not going to be like as
Is it hot right now?
Yeah.
It's hot?
So,
yeah.
Okay, I haven't looked at it.
It should be probably ready to go then.
One of the things
I scribbled out some stuff.
in my years at FQT Farm running trial and experiments, I was always the one to say, just go. Just put it all in. It's going to work. We'll get more yields. I was never the one to kind of have a beta test with leaving like 2.
Yeah.
Because I felt so enthusiastic about these things.
It's exciting. You want to kind of just go like, fuck it.
It's going to work.
The testing is not a bad idea, eh? So then you can tell yourself in the end, I guess.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like you have these strong feelings about it. You're like, I don't really need to prove it. Like, it's going to work.
Yeah.
Let's just do it.
But there's also, like the different methods might also give us different results as well.
For
So
sure.
Also like based on labor, like how much can I actually realistically do for these 2 tests? And then I also have, the composted pile. So that's a third trial. But because last year I did a brand new like herb garden with the mushroom blocks, cardboard mushroom blocks, horse manure, and then wood chip on top. So we didn't have to buy any.
Rich.
Super rich. And it was okay. It wasn't.
Maybe it was too
great.
rich at first. I don't know.
I think so. Like they definitely struggled at first, and this year, after a year of decomp, I think it'll be a little bit better. But the roots couldn't really get into the soil. It wasn't quite deep enough, so they stunted a bit. But it's just a way to not have to buy soil, because I was like, we have all of this stuff. We might as well just trial
use it.
Yeah.
I saw you glancing at different seed catalogs this year. You looked at the Baker Creed seed catalog.
Love
Isn't that great?
That's fantastic.
This is like the ultimate of the ultimate.
Yeah. That and Uprising Seeds.
Uprising Seeds is also one of your favorite.
They're the ones actually that like have the majority of the radicchio varieties.
Really? Where are they based?
West Coast.
So
I think
they're
it's
in Canada?
Oregon.
Oh, they're in
Yeah,
Oregon. Okay.
Oregon or Washington. I'm not
Yeah.
entirely sure, but they have all of the varieties that you could want, and
Wow.
it's just going on their page. I find it just exciting.
So that moment is past now. You've made your choices.
Yes.
You're gonna start the season.
Yes.
Was it a good time this year looking at the seed catalogs?
Oh yeah. Tatsuya and I actually got to do some of the planning together, and that was like really fun because he was like, I have some suggestions of varieties, like so polite, and I was like, okay, let's sift through the catalogs and we'll pick some stuff. And he had some really good suggestions. We're gonna try and see if he can bring some stuff back from Japan. He's there right now.
Yeah, ask him for the Kyoto carrots, like the red carrots from Kyoto. They're amazing.
They actually found some from Baker Creek, so we're gonna try those
this is
winter.
one of my favorite crop
so
that
beautiful.
anytime I've grown it.
Are you growing things currently that he's grown in his past in Japan? Like anything?
That's a good
Or you don't
question.
really know yet?
Currently, no. I think it's still a bit too early. But I was trying to get Miyoga ginger, like the little ginger sprouts. Essentially, it's not like not full ginger, but I can't figure out where to get it. So I was like, oh, maybe he can bring some back with
If,
them. I don't
if
know how.
listeners are listening to this and they have a queue for us,
Send us.
Send us the DM.
There's actually a farmer in, I'm pretty sure it's North Carolina, who used to work at Blue Hill. And I saw some of his stuff. I'm blanking on all the names right now, but he was the one that actually, I like saw his photos on Instagram, and that's what like really inspired me to do radicchio, because he was growing all of the forced ones, and specifically forced chefs as well. I think his name is Evan Chender.
Okay.
But and it was also, he was the one that was using uprising seeds, and so I found it really inspiring, because he was growing for, you know, just chefs, and I was like, oh, there's all this neat stuff that I don't know, and like now I get to trial it and test it and give it to these guys and see what they come up with.
It's epic.
I know I said we were going to talk about the ecology and soil, which we are, but you just made me think of another question that we have to address first, which is, where are you getting a lot of your inspiration and knowledge? Do you have some shout outs to different people? Because clearly you're full of ideas and great, you know, and then they don't just come out of thin air, I imagine.
No,
you've seen things, heard.
Well, I have to credit a lot of my my willingness to try a lot of stuff to two people in particular.
Okay.
So one is Leanne. I worked with her for one full season at La Ferme Entre Ciel et Terre. That was in the Laurentians, so Saint-André.
Okay, up north above Montreal, folks.
Yes. And her husband have been running their farm for, I think this is their 7th season. And I did my first full season with them. She made me the manager, essentially, my first season ever working on a farm, and really had a lot of faith in me. And just like her positive attitude made a huge difference. So I want to credit her for that, just for, you know, staying positive and continuing to not be afraid, you know, to try things and don't shy away from stuff that you want to attempt. Also, Imiru, who's my neighbor who I worked with as well. So these two women gave me like definitely a lot of confidence in, you know, just go for it. Just try it. Just attempt whatever it is that you want to do. And then like in terms of growing stuff, like in terms of choosing what it is I want to grow, that just, a lot of it comes from social media. You see something that's beautiful and you're like, I want to try that. I want to see what it tastes like. And sometimes you try and you're like, this is really terrible. Sometimes it's like, this is really cool. It was way cooler than I thought it'd be. So, you know, there's a lot of people doing a really, really interesting things out there. And again, they're not always for the same purpose as what we're doing, but you might as well, you know, attempt it.
One of the guy that I'm following, I told you, Chris, about him. I'd love to have him on the podcast. He's the Baker Creed guy.
Oh yeah.
This guy
I would love to meet
He's
him.
like so amazing. He's like, oh my God. It's like he's coming up. You have all these crazy vegetables and he's so colorful, and it's like, there's so many varieties. It's such it's endless.
But, you know, also just like being out in the field, you end up looking really closely at what it is you're growing and then also what's around it.
Yeah.
And oftentimes what's around it is also edible. So, you know, there's certain things that you wouldn't necessarily consider until you're, you know, on your knees weeding it out. And then you're like, oh, what does that taste like?
Has the kitchen put to use some weeds?
Yeah, there's a purslane who's abundant.
So that one's
here.
coming up here.
Yeah.
Lamb's quarters, are they coming
Lamb's
up
quarter
here?
too. They don't necessarily use that, but in French it's orpaille.
I don't know that one.
I can't remember what that is in English, but that all grows abundantly here. We have you know, black raspberries in the woods here. We have dandelions. You know, like there's, you know, dandelion buds, I think, are actually similar to artichoke in tasting. So I'm going to see if that's the
that's coming up soon.
Yeah.
Two of my favorites so far that have impressed me, sorrel growing, you know, 18 months.
Oh, yeah.
Like that was incredible. Like the plant we're giving in the spring, in the summer, in the fall, in the winter, in the spring, in the same plants.
Yeah.
That one was like, oh my God, this one just keeps going. It was endless supply. And those celeries that we kept into the greenhouse for, I don't know, like 18 months?
At least. Yeah. Like right now, I did the celery in the fall only this year. And it is starting to like go to flower.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if it's either temperature because it's been too warm, or maybe it is just the season. I'm not sure how you got it to last 18 months. That's
Incredible. Like we
I'm
would
very curious
cut a few branches.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then the plant would regrow, and then it spent the whole winter there under frost. It was just kind of
Oh
like,
yeah.
But then you found it was bolting for you, is what?
Now it's bolting.
now it's bolting. But
But
we're heating the greenhouse.
Okay.
Quite,
Yeah, maybe
quite
it's just
high
from
right at this
heat
point.
and,
Yeah.
and or even sunniness versus cloudiness.
there's some times where the sides don't open, quite.
Oh, they get frozen in.
yeah. There was a lot of snow at one point, so it was getting up to like 30 degrees in there. So,
Yeah.
but I, it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
It's fine now.
We planted those kiwi small
Yeah,
trees
that's
there. They're
exciting.
vines that are growing. This is going to be interesting. There's so many possibilities.
Oh yeah.
It's
The hardy
incredible.
kiwis. Have they haven't fruited yet, have they?
No, it's
Do you think it's going to happen this year, or it's still
It might still be too
Yeah.
early, and also I'm not sure if they're male and female.
No, yeah, if you
Kind
actually
of
have the
both.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But we have a bay leaf tree that's doing really well, and it's about this high.
Oh,
Yeah.
Interesting.
The 2 fig trees are phenomenal.
They're rocking.
Oh yeah. The diversity is really increasing. We have a lot of lemon verbena. We have like 6 or
Oh,
more,
yeah.
9 plants, I think, of that. And then there's all the full food forest back there that hasn't really started to produce yet.
Yeah.
It's still
Yeah,
too
but it'll
young.
come.
It will come.
That'll be exciting.
We,
Yes.
we planted some what's the word, like these mushrooms, these
Oh,
Stropharia?
truffles.
Wine cap?
truffles.
Yeah.
We planted truffles.
Oh,
and
was it with the Truffle Quebec
Yeah.
thing?
We
okay.
inoculated those trees with truffles, and I think that in a few years, and they're looking good,
Yeah, they are.
we might get those truffles in.
That's exciting.
And so,
I don't know much about trees in general,
Yeah.
so that's something that I have to kind of study a little bit more, like when to prune. Should I prune? Do I leave it alone?
It's a passion of mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe you can help me out.
Maybe.
yeah.
But it's a whole project in and of itself, just that forest. So I'm curious to see like what we should continue to add or reduce or whatever. But I think it's doing pretty well.
Is anyone pruning them this year?
They're too small yet.
Yeah.
Well, but
They're-
sometimes like with a nursery rip, you head it so that you get the scaffold branches to come out. Like
Yes.
that's pretty
It
valuable.
would be a good
The
time to
pear
go and
might
visit
need it,
right now,
yeah.
actually. Before
Yeah,
they start
yeah,
to
before it
bloom.
starts to
Yeah.
bud.
But that orchard that I planted with the team, it wasn't a great success. It was,
There was some that didn't make it.
yeah.
The berries didn't make it, but the trees on it of itself did. Like
Yeah.
they did produce a little bit last year. I probably should have taken the fruits off.
What
but-
I did is like I saw that there was this pépinière, nursery that
Mm-hmm.
went
Right, it was
bankrupt,
closing
and so they
out.
were closing out. So I bought all their stuff, but I think that their stuff wasn't really well taken care of. So
I
it
By
wasn't-
the end, especially.
it was
yeah.
cheap to buy, but it wasn't
Got
the
it.
most.
Okay.
You know.
Well, the good thing about fruit trees and stuff, you can always just replace something that's died, and then that way, like
Exactly.
even if only 60% of what you originally planted was good,
Mm.
who cares?
Yeah.
Just
I'd love to get the citrus trees.
I actually got 3 calamansi seeds to grow.
Yeah.
So calamansi are like these very small citrus. I guess they're kind of like kumquats.
Mm-hmm.
So I have 3 of them growing right now, and I'm babying them exceptionally hard
Yeah.
just to make sure that they last. But
Yeah.
that's something that would be really cool to have, especially in the winter, because they produce quite a bit of fruit. Once they.
It would
start.
be something here to serve, citrus or oranges.
Yeah.
Like people would be
Wow,
like,
yeah.
"Whoa, that's kind of weird."
Yes.
I come to this 100% local place and you guys are serving me oranges.
Yeah.
Yes, come, we'll
If
see.
you could
we'll
do a
show
cocktail with it, like
also nearby here in the Eastern Townships, there are some diehard pawpaw fanatics.
Yeah.
There's an
Oh,
entire
yes.
group
Oh, my
on. Have you ever
God.
met any of them?
I
forget
met
his-
I met one of the guy.
He did a tasting at
Oh, really?
in Farnham this past. Anyway, he has a pawpaw T-shirt.
Yeah, he's one of the most.
No, it was a
passionate-
button up. I'm like, where did you even find it? Did you
We
make
should get that guy on the podcast also.
So, but the reason I actually brought that up is imagine, especially if you partner with one of these people, I don't know, because they're just really knowledgeable about trying to get that tree working in this climate. Because it's just like a lot of
It's
people
native,
struggle.
isn't it?
It's native, but it's definitely does better further south. It
Okay.
doesn't. It's not impossible here.
Right.
But it's more experimental at this point. It's
Okay.
not like there's a tried and true. It's going to work every
Yeah.
time, like an apple or something.
I've never actually tried one. I know what they
Yeah.
are, but I never actually tried one.
I have 6 planted at home.
Oh, really?
But I don't know how well they're going to do. I know guys in Vermont that are have planted hundreds and have still yet to really have the success
harvest?
they're wanted. But then there's people in Ontario, but a bit further south, that
Yeah.
are killing it. Anyway, they're cool anyway. And
I know that they don't last very long. That's like the
well, that's
interesting thing.
why they never went commercial.
Right.
They're the largest fruit native in North America, fruit on a tree.
And it's crazy that we've never.
You can't ship them.
No, you can't get a
so that's why it
hold of
never.
them. Yeah.
Anyway,
Feels like we're geeking out.
we are geeking out, and those who listening are like, hell yeah, I want that papa. Okay, on to soil, because
Yes.
you are now working with Advancing Eco Ag. Is that correct?
That is, they're so great. They've given me a lot of advice because like I the first season, I will say, like I did no soil tests. I kind of was just winging it, and I don't regret winging it. I think that I learned a lot about like what I was just doing, what I had, like what the soil was like the first year. Where were the weak spots? Where were the good spots? And I did 3 soil tests this past fall. So I did one outside in the field, one in the tunnel, and one in the greenhouse. And they've given me like a fertility schedule of like when to add what and how much. And so I'm starting that. So that's like the first step into sort of just boosting some.
Could you share what some of that was? I mean, people might be interested to hear.
Outside, it's gypsum. We're going to add magnesium. We're adding potassium, zinc, and boron.
with rock dusts, basically.
Yes, yeah.
For all this.
So a lot of supplements, yeah.
Yeah.
And then in the greenhouse, it's potassium, boron, and I'm pretty sure zinc as well, if I remember correctly. And then the tunnel, it's a little bit different. It was just boron and zinc, if I remember.
And they're giving you the dosage.
Yes, they give me the dosage, and I just had to go and source it, and then I, mix it in with my soil prep. So that's like the first step. Like I took a course on that, but even that was like I found very complicated. I thought that it was really it seemed a little bit excessive in my mind to have to do like these very precise calculations and amendments according to I understand that that's somewhat necessary if you're looking for production and profit. I think that that's really like the end goal for that. But I also I want to keep him like, maybe this is naive of me, but like to remain like true to what people did 100 years ago when
I understand.
Didn't have access to that, and what they what did they use? They used manure.
Yeah.
And they used whatever they had. They had wood chips. They had fire.
Places they had sea products.
Sea products. What table scraps.
They had hay.
They had hay, straw. Yeah, they had cover crops. They had all kinds of stuff like that. So there's always a bit of an internal conflict of like, okay, well, what ultimately is our goal? Is it to have productivity and profit, or is it to remain true to what we have accessible to us? So working with Advanced Eco Ag, it's a little bit of both. They have like this really great foliar application products, and I think that it's really interesting because my grandfather used to study that, and he was a professor at Cornell.
Oh, wow.
And that was his whole field, like
big agricultural school too.
Big ag school. And he would, do a lot of animal testing as well as like crop testing. So that's kind of intertwined with what we're doing now. And I think eventually I'll find a common, something that I'm comfortable with, but I really am curious as to see like what they offer and how I can do it and what the results are.
Well, I've always thought, Angie, that for me, like you combine what you learn from reading, from following these recipes or diet with what you observe. And that later part is just as important because you're the one in the field and you're with the crops and you're seeing.
Yeah.
And just like that presence is wisdom. So eventually you'll connect dots with what you're doing, what you're reading, what you're doing to what you're seeing, and then you internalize that. And that's when it becomes, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah, yeah.
But
it'll take time.
But you need to be doing what you're doing. You need to be reading, you need to be researching, you need to be following advice. But it's really the eye of the grower that tells you
Yeah.
if it's working or not.
Exactly. And I mean, I do need as much advice as I can get. You know, I think this is still like it's a newly developed farm. Like the soil is still relatively growing in a sense.
Yeah.
Like it needs a lot of help, but it also does produce really, really well. It's very nutritious and it retains nutrients quite well. It's a lot of loam and a lot of clay. So there's only so much that I think that I should add. You know, manure is a good thing. I think that because it's from our neighbor down the road,
it's right there.
I think that again it kind of ties into my own philosophy of what did we have access to 100 years ago. But then also like the supplements are essential if we have soils that are really low in potassium, so we can help it. You know, we can. Why not? But
You're definitely. Oh, want to go?
I was just about to say, like, I'm not sure when we'll be airing this podcast, but we're definitely with the Market Gardener Institute. We're launching this long-term collaboration
very exciting.
with Advancing Eco-Agriculture to do more testing and to troubleshoot. Because one of their main goal is they have a lot to offer, but it's hard for them because, you know, we have 40, 50, 60 different crops growing at the same time. And how do you do the sap analysis for that? And so we'll be working together, and I'm really excited. In all my career, I've had phases where, you know, eventually I got really excited about greenhouse production and I really deep dived in that. And there was a lot to offer there. And I do feel that with them, we're tackling this new frontier of, you know, getting a bit more precise on how to fertilize and what the soil really, really needs and what it lacks.
Right.
You know, and I'm excited about that.
I mean, sometimes naturally soils are just deficient in something. And, you know, is there an argument to be like, well, maybe you should only grow things
that are adapted to your soil.
Well, that's how it was. You were talking about how it was before.
Yeah.
That's how it was before.
Exactly.
People would determine that this crop would grow there better.
Yeah.
And, you know, in the old days, if you read old work about vineyards in France in the 1800s, they would taste the soil.
Yeah.
And they would know that there was a lot of zinc. They would know, and that's how they would choose which varieties of grapes to grow there. And so, but I think us as market gardeners, we want to grow everything. So we're kind of changing the soil according
based
to
on our needs.
Our needs.
Yeah.
And that's okay too.
And people also, they would look at the weeds because weeds can tell you what, like certain weeds grow in soil that's deficient in X and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I just wanted, like, what you said about having the desire to stay true to, like, what it was like 100 years. I am that. I'm definitely a romantic. And we actually spoke with Kish Johnson of Advancing Eco-Ag. I don't know if that episode is out already or after the time we're releasing this, because we don't know when we're releasing the two in order yet. But you should go listen to that because we deep dive on Advancing Eco-Ag and what it offers. But I offered to him the idea of how are you working with these kind of more romantic, younger, especially small scale growers that kind of have an aversion to like a product in a white, container that looks like a chemical. Like it resembles to people of our mindset that like the large scale industrial ag and chemicals, even though it's not.
Yeah.
And I'm fully also for it. Like I really just relate to your desire to find your balance with where you want to situate yourself in that. Like the balance of having that hardcore data to go off of, but also going a bit intuition, a bit.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's definitely going to take time. I don't think I'll know what it is I'm comfortable yet within the first year. I think it'll take trial and error But he's fascinating. I got to talk to him for a couple of hours, and like what he was giving me advice on was very applicable to perennials. I think a lot of their fertility, from what I understand, anyways, is that it is very applicable to perennials like vineyards, orchards, that kind of thing, and eventually like they don't need to intervene anymore.
Yeah,
they sort
that's
of
their
just
goal.
Yeah. auto fertilize. So for us, it's a bit complicated. Again, we're in a very unique position of like, what are our needs? We don't really have anything else to copy. We don't have any playbook for this in particular. So I'm happy I get to be one of the big guinea pigs, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like for anyone, like go listen to a talk of John Kempf online
Yes.
and he'll blow your mind for sure. When he did that talk for us, I was like, oh my God, he made me really want to go and take a foliar spray and throw it on the plant and watch it, drink it up and
intravenous fertility.
Yeah, right. Can you tell us about sap analysis? Because you've done one or two so
We've
far?
done one. We did one, but you do like old leaves and new leaves at the same time. So we did it in the fall, which is a little bit, I think, late for the season, but hopefully we'll get to do one this spring and then in the summer and then in the fall. They suggest every 3 weeks. So I think I have to primarily pick the crop that I want to follow and study.
Yeah.
So ones that are usually more profitable, like tomatoes, example. So I won't be able to start testing that until like maybe June, end of May or June. So essentially what you're doing is you're picking off the older leaves, so the leaves on the base of the plant, and new growth. And we're sending that in and we're testing to see what the plant is uptaking nutrition-wise. So even if you amend your soil, you supplement your soil, whatever, sometimes the nutrients are not available to the plant to uptake. So that's what you test throughout its life cycle, and eventually you can figure out what you can add to it foliarly or supplement-wise to help it be able to absorb what it needs to produce.
Yeah.
So that's essentially, from what I understand, I've only done it once.
Yeah, and for those listening, some of the foliar spray idea, as explained to us, usually it's about micronutrients like molybdenum and things like that are they might not be as important as NPK, you could say, but they're surprisingly critical in what they do affect, especially in terms of being resilient to pest and disease.
Yes.
And so amazingly, when you apply it to the leaves, and it acts like an intravenous medication, basically, as he described it, and it's almost not instant, but it gets super fast,
Very
its
quick.
effect, and that's really pretty incredible. If you're a grower, to know that there's maybe a way you can
Fix
like sort of
something.
like in the moment, like affect something, not necessarily. I mean, he said that, after you see the symptom, it's probably too late.
Right.
But that's why sap analysis is cool, because you can see a problem 2 or 3 weeks ahead.
And
But
inevitable, yeah.
either way, it's like it's a bit more in real time than soil testing in terms of, I don't know. Yeah, it's super cool, and I'm excited to see
Me too.
what could happen
Keep you
here with
posted.
that.
Yeah, you guys will be filming some of that this season. Eh?
Definitely, I'm sure we're going to be giving updates. So if you're not already watching our YouTube channel, you better.
Definitely should.
Subscribe
Go
to the
watch it.
channel. Want to do rapid fire?
Yeah. And I think I had one final question before rapid fire, and then we'll do it. Oh yeah, what aspect of the farm is bringing you the most joy these days?
Ooh,
what is the
good
most
question.
exciting?
I think, again, just like the potential to see where it could go. Also, because we've implemented perennials in certain areas of the farm, and like I want to see when it's fully abundant. Oh yeah. I can't wait till it actually grows into itself. It still feels like it's in the baby stage of the farm, and we're still, adjusting things here and cleaning up areas there and planting things. So I can't wait to see what it looks like, in 20 years when all the trees are mature and you're actually getting like a lot of pears,
Oh my God.
I can't wait to have pears and apples and stuff right from here. You just go, go on your break, you take a pear and eat it. Or, I think that's like what's exciting to me, is just like seeing where it's going to go. And also like figuring out how I'm going to change as a grower. Like it's really just like a playground at this point for me, because I can just try whatever it is that I want. And yes, there's repercussions, but like the mistakes that I make also push me into becoming better and
and they
improving
also
it.
create opportunities because you miss out on something and create something else, and
Exactly.
then Chow will be like, "Oh, I like this a lot."
Yeah, just like the roots that I was going to
Yeah.
throw in
Yeah.
the compost, and I was like, hey, just try it, you know.
And you're being careful enough. It's not like you're just throwing
Right.
caution to the wind.
Yes, I'm
You're
very
choosing your risks.
precise about meticulous in certain areas. So
You're very meticulous, and you work really hard. Like there's all the ingredients for everything to be, a success. for
success.
sure.
I hope so. And that's, also I want to see where the restaurant goes. That's the really exciting part is like it's still trying to find its footing. There's no right way to do anything. And I think that as people change positions within the restaurant and we're finding our voice, people are becoming more confident, we have more understanding. I think that's like the experience for the client is ultimately going to improve and change, and that's what I want to see. I want to see it become something that's really exceptional and an experience that is worth, going out of your way to come to this really small town in the middle of nowhere, essentially, and just have this incredible experience of staying at the inn, having this really great meal, seeing the village and walking the fields and getting to meet us. And, we get to teach people, that's really fun.
I'm really happy to hear that because when I started the restaurant, our first year we got an award, being nominated top 10 in Canada, and then people were asking me how I felt about, being kind of the restaurant of the year. And I was like, I want the restaurant of the decade.
Yeah.
Like this is a long-term project. Like,
Yeah.
I want us to be excellent over, I want us to go get our pears
Yeah.
and cook
That
those.
to me is success more than an award.
That's epic work.
It's, when you talk about being excited for 20 years from now, it just makes me realize how much starting a farm and especially planting trees because they last so long it is its own form of starting a family in a way.
Yes.
Like you're creating something that at first might be not all that interesting per se, but like the amount of things it's going to bring to you over a very long time, over a lifetime.
It's a long-term investment.
Yeah, it's a long-term investment. And, us modern folk we've been, what's the word I'm looking? We've been conditioned to not think that way enough in our current culture. And it's a real lesson in patience especially planting a tree. Like what a lesson in patience because.
I think like our society is very we've adapted to immediate gratification.
100%.
And that's, to me, it's very backwards. Like we're not used to that. That's just very recent. So the fact that I can have a career where it's, it's not immediate gratification. It is long-term. And even like planning your season versus harvesting the vegetable is long-term. It's not tomorrow that I'm going to get that vegetable. It's a lot of work, planning and maintenance and labor goes into that. And, I think we're pretty disconnected. So having something that grounds us a little bit to the reality of our entire life is long-term investment.
Soil.
Amen.
Yeah.
Soil is the teacher. It's the
Yeah.
ultimate teacher.
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire. You familiar with rapid fire?
No.
It's the segue of the show where we ask you questions where you can think about it for a long time, but like what comes up top of your mind. And these are kind of more personal about your journey, yourself.
All right.
So,
What's a book you've read multiple times, if anything?
Multiple times. Jane Eyre.
Oh, Jane Eyre.
Yeah.
who's the Jane Eyre?
It's a classic.
It's it was a long time ago that I read that multiple times, but it was about a woman who's like finding her way in life, but is also like kind of excluded from society a little bit. It's a very interesting book.
It takes place in the 1800s, I think.
Yes,
right.
yes.
And there's multiple films of it, but I remember
Yes.
watching one that I think was made in the 2006
Yeah,
or something.
I think I should
like-
probably reread it
That's a good
again.
one.
But it's
I like that
it's
story.
A classic.
Nice.
Yeah. What's advice you heard when you were really young, but you only appreciated much later in life?
Be patient.
Be patient. Why is that?
Because again, like we want immediate gratification. Sometimes you just have to sit down and be patient. Wait.
Were you not patient in your early 20s?
I don't think I've ever really been patient. So it's a learning process. Be patient
Until now.
and be humble.
Now I think you're patient.
Now I have to be
Yeah,
patient.
you have to be. What's advice that you give often to people?
I think it's stay quiet. Sometimes it's better to not talk. It's sometimes it's better to just sit, listen, and observe, and then give your input when it's important. Don't over communicate. That's my.
Do you have an example of how that could play out?
Yeah. Working in the restaurant industry, I will say, is extremely challenging. You work with a lot of different characters. You're working with artists. You're working with businessmen. You're working with, a variety of outgoing people, quiet people, all kinds of backgrounds. So trying to fit that together to make something that's really beautiful, like a meal at a restaurant. I think you sometimes, to get that to work, you have to be quiet and not over input. I think that's like restaurants are dramatic. We're always a little bit dramatic. Everything is a big deal. Everything is always either going really well or really poorly.
I'm discovering that.
That's why restaurant TV does so well. All the screaming.
Exactly.
No, that doesn't happen here.
And it is accurate to some extent. We're not screaming at each other, but
In a lot of restaurants, though, they do, and
yeah.
especially in the past.
They did. I don't think they do that anymore.
I hope
Less
it's
so.
changing.
Yeah.
I really do, because that can really break your spirit if
Yeah.
you're trying to just please a chef and they're just screaming at you. And
Yeah.
it can be really
And
disheartening.
it's a big turnoff. I don't
Oh, yeah.
understand that.
No, but it's they don't do that anymore.
No.
They've been canceled. And
Yeah.
no,
It's a
true,
good
like,
canceling.
There was a big deal about that.
Yeah.
And even the Dan Barbers of this world, they can't.
Yeah, it's not allowed anymore.
No.
It's
It's
really
not
it's not
considered.
tolerated. But there's a part of it that I'm like,
Yeah, it used to be good.
sometimes it's okay.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah,
it's not all bad. Your parents had to discipline you.
and being firm.
Yes.
And not being pleasing
Yes.
when you're in charge is something that is respected by the others.
Yeah.
I think it's the line of not discriminating. What's the word? Like not shaming others.
Yeah.
That's the
Or
line
being
where you can't
abusive.
cross that
Yeah.
that line anymore.
Like as an employee, you want to please the person that you're working for, and if they're, telling you that they're disappointed, that
hurts.
oof.
Oh.
Yeah,
That
you
can
don't
be
like
rough.
that. You don't want that.
Oh my God, that was my secret weapon
Yeah.
at FQT Farm.
Like, I'm disappointed in you.
And when I would say that to somebody,
Yeah,
they needed to shape up.
that digs deep.
Burn.
My favorite trick of all time, management trick, was I would go 19 times out of 20 to congratulate you on the work that you're doing, on the spirit that you have, on the quality. And I would always do this very slowly. Oh, I want to talk to you. Let's sit down for a minute. And people would always be, oh my God, what did I do wrong? And then I would congratulate them. So they will always have this tension and then a positive feedback.
Yeah.
But the one time I would go and say, oh, I'm disappointed.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
big effect.
Instant change. So
Yeah.
anyway,
So stay quiet.
yeah, stay quiet. I love that.
I ascribe to this rule. I like it. What are people not talking about enough?
Oh, their feelings. I think that people have a hard time with confrontation. I think it's easy to talk about it with someone else that you're not having an issue with, but it's hard for people to confront somebody that they're having an issue with. And I think that that's pretty much worldwide. Like that's not something that's just like, restaurants or, your job or whatever. But like, there's always a lot of conversation with someone that you're not having an issue with. And then actually going to the person that you are having an issue with is really hard, but ultimately solves the problem pretty quickly.
Yeah, there's a lot of gossips.
Yeah.
There's a lot of gossip in a restaurant. And
Yeah,
the whole
or just
family.
in life.
And just in
know.
life. You're right.
Yeah, I think
in
it's
life.
like, I could be upset with my mom and talk to my sister about it instead of talking to my, that's just an example. Sorry, Mom.
I'm not upset.
I'm not.
What's a nature experience that sticks out in your memory within your life?
Oh, I hiked the Appalachian Trail.
Oh, you did the whole thing? Ooh.
Oh, I did half.
Okay, that was a dream of mine when I was like 20, but I never got around to carving out the time in life.
Yeah, I took 6 months off, and my boyfriend he had biked across Canada before.
Oh, wow.
And so he flew out to BC to get his bike and bike it back. And this was like 6 months after we met, so it was still new. And then I was like, well, fuck it. I'm going to go do my own thing,
Nice.
So I got my backpack and I flew down to Georgia and got on the AT and hiked all the way to, Harper's Ferry, like halfway point.
Yeah. Did you read Bill Bryson?
I did.
Of course.
Yeah.
What a book. A Walk in the Woods?
No?
It's an incredible
It's like
book.
this retired guy that decides to hike the Appalachian Trail. It's for those who don't know, it's a trail from Georgia to Maine that's close to 3,000 miles. And it goes through, the Appalachians. So all through these really small towns, you meet some interesting characters.
Oh, yeah. And there's trail towns. I've been on it in
towns.
Virginia at Mount Rogers.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a trail town there. I don't remember the name, but it's like the town is made for the trail. It's kind of weird.
There's like these communities that have built up around hosting hikers and, you stay in hostels and you can work for your stay instead of paying for it. And you can, every like 8 miles, there's a shack that you can sleep in if you want, or you bring your tent on your back
And then there's trail magic.
Trail magic. You get trail names.
Yeah. What was yours?
Pinto.
Pinto.
Nice.
Like the little horse.
Or the bean.
Or the bean.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Or the car. There's a variety of pintos.
Don't you think like people after graduating from uni, they should it should be
100%.
like to get your degree, you need to do 2 months
something.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That
Do
should
the
be its own
PCT
form
or
of
the
degree.
AT.
Yeah, and the PCT, great books about that. Wild.
Yes.
Probably read that.
Yeah, I actually met the director of that movie.
Oh, yeah?
He passed away recently, actually. But
Wow.
Jean-Marc Vallée.
yeah,
Oh, it was. Okay.
it was right after that movie
Québécois.
came out. He came to the restaurant Idfatan, and
Wow.
we got to chat about it. and it was,
Wow,
like,
what a loss for us, eh?
I know.
This guy was a genius.
incredible, really great movie too. But
Yeah, and the book is awesome.
yeah,
Read that back in the day. Cool.
that's definitely the major thing.
Well, that makes sense because why wouldn't that stick out?
Living
It's a big,
outside for 6
big life
months.
experience. What's a great difficult decision you made where it was really hard to make the decision, but in the end it actually turned out for the better afterwards?
Probably having to leave the farm that I started with my mom. I think that was, I feel sad every time I think about it a little bit, but also glad that I'm not having to drive an hour every day to something that like you can barely make function with just myself 3 days a week. It doesn't make any sense. So I don't think that that's like, it's not a bad decision that I ended. It's just, it's difficult.
Yeah.
I wish it was closer, because if it was closer, then I probably could have kept doing it to some extent. That was a really good learning experience because I was only selling to chefs and I was working with my neighbor, Emilu. We paired up so that I had her veggie list and I had my list, and then I went and found the clients. We had about 10 different restaurants we were selling to, and she lent me her delivery truck, and we kind of just, I would do all of the managing of that, packaging, whatever, selling. And then, but that it almost broke me. Like, I think doing all of that plus
That traveling.
yeah, plus working here, late nights on the weekends, and then, having half of a day off a week.
Yeah, and then having a beer at 2:00 in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
You get
It's a
tired
lot.
after
It's
a while.
It's a lot.
No regrets.
And what's a best failure that also turned out to be something better in the end?
Oh. Best failure. Like, what do you mean by
Or just like something where, you had a failure, something didn't go the way you planned, but it actually turned out to be a blessing that it failed.
That's a hard one.
That's fine. Yeah. You can think for a moment or you can pass.
I think, okay, well, I don't know if this is considered a failure, but like, I, as as a young person, decided that I was never going to go to university. I thought that it was a complete waste of money. Like I didn't want to put my family through that. Like I visited a lot of them. I almost went to Cornell, like I could have, but I think that ultimately I learned better by doing. And I didn't think that an institution could teach me as much as just getting a job and learning hands-on. So I wouldn't say it's a failure. It was a decision, but it ultimately pushed me in the direction I wanted to go. And it, you have to work twice as hard to make the same amount of money as someone who has a degree. Mm-hmm. But I think that just made more sense to me. My sister, she did the university route. She got her master's and she's making a killing. She's fantastic job in Boston, but like two very different directions, and they're both working for us. I think that's just an example, but I guess I failed in the sense that I don't have like the education required to achieve like that salary of, making millions a year or whatever, but this is what I like. This works for me. Yeah. This is perfect and I'm learning and that's what I want.
Well, don't worry. As someone that went to university, I actually think I shouldn't have.
Oh, well, there you go.
Gained, as much as people are like, yeah, but Chris, you gained something. Like, yeah, sure, I had life experience to some extent, but
yeah,
every which way I look at it, I'm like, I can't find a silver lining.
No.
I had some nice friendships, obviously.
Yeah. I just don't see
it. Didn't,
I met Montreal there, so
that's a huge success.
I can't. She's the first person I met.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I can say friendships, but you would have made friendships without it too.
Yeah,
the actual what I paid for was not. I didn't gain from it really. Anyway, finally, what is something that you're obsessed with at the moment that isn't maybe farming related, or is but a bit auxiliary?
Right. Not obsessed, but I'm really like, it's a little hobby that we're starting. We're going to do, my boyfriend and I are going to do broilers. We're going to do meat birds.
Oh, nice.
Which are like I hate to say it, the dumbest of the birds.
Oh, I know. They're kind of depressing to watch.
They're really depressing.
8 weeks to size.
But we want to have a little more autonomy when it comes to food. And we're going to try it. We have the land. We can easily do it. So.
Are you going to get a plucker?
I don't know yet. We might rent one.
Yeah. I know a guy that will give you lend you one. He's been on the podcast.
Oh, great. Yeah, because plucking is a bit tedious.
Yeah.
But
I've done it.
Yeah.
By hand.
It's
not as bad as people say, but it's
long. Come on.
It's just
if you have like 80 birds.
If you have 80 birds, yes.
We're only doing 20.
But if you do 10 or something, it's really not that bad. But yes, 80, don't do that.
We're just kind of dipping our toe in it to see what it's like. And then, so we can have food for
It's a great experience in my experience.
Can I just say a little story?
Yeah.
One of my favorite moments in my return to the land kind of like years was when I was younger. I would give workshops at these Mother Earth News Fair, and Joel Salatin was there. Oh. And he had these workshops with a GoPro, and he would show people how to butcher chickens, how to pluck them. And everyone was watching on these big screens, and he was going at it just like and it was so incredible.
He's very inspiring.
Yeah,
that
was epic.
He's got a big voice, and it makes a big impact. That's pretty cool. That's pretty funny.
So
and that
I'd love
goes
to meet him one day.
Omnivore's Dilemma. It's him that he exposes, and that's pretty early on in terms of our generation of people into this stuff. Anyway. That's all for me.
All right. So thank you for coming to the podcast,
thank you so
Angie.
Much,
thank you.
Good luck this year in the fields.
We'll see you around.
I hope you guys enjoyed this show. We did. This is great. We talked a lot about the Old Mill, which is the farm-to-table restaurant where this podcast is hosted. You can check it out, Espace Old Mill. It's in the show notes. If you want to come and eat, you guys are welcome to make the trip.
Visit.
Please.
Subscribe to the channel. Please share. If you guys have comments, we read them, so share it with us. If you guys have guests that you want us to kind of investigate with, please share it with us. And from the bottom of our heart, thank you for listening. We enjoy doing these, and we'll be there next time. We're out. Hope you're enjoying the podcast. These are important conversations, and we're really excited to have them and to share them with everyone. Don't forget to subscribe to it, download the episodes, and please rate them. It makes a difference for us. We want to know what you think about these conversations. They're important. Check out the work that we do at the Market Gardener Institute. You can check out our website, themarketgardener.com. Our mission is to multiply the number of small ecological farms around the world. And we do this by offering training, online courses to new aspiring farmers, but also to seasoned growers. We're helping them take it to the next level. So you can check out the work that we do. You can follow us on social media. You can sign up to our newsletter to get a lot of freebies about gardening, farming, but also about how small-scale farming is changing the world. And that's really what we're all about, and that's really what this is all about. So again, thank you for tuning in. Super excited that you guys are on board. We are changing the world.